Esther 4-10, Proverbs 2, Psalm 130. When Mordecai learned of all they had done, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the sea, wailing loudly and bitterly. He went only as far as the king's gate, because no one clothed in sackcloth was allowed to enter. In every province to which the edict and order of the king came, there was great mourning among the Jews, fasting, weeping, and wailing. Many lay in sackcloth and ashes. When Esther's eunuchs and female attendants came and told her about Mordecai, she was in great distress. She sent clothes for him to put on instead of his sackcloth, but he would not accept them. Esther summoned Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, assigned to attend her, and ordered him to find out what was troubling Mordecai and why. So Hathach went out to Mordecai in the open square at the scene in front of the king's gate. Mordecai told him everything that happened to him, including the exact amount of money Haman had promised to pay into the royal treasury for the destruction of the Jews. He also gave him a copy of the text of the edict for their annihilation, which had been published in Suez, to show to Esther and explain to her. And he told him to instruct her to go into the king's presence to beg for mercy and plead with him for a people. Hathach went back and reported to Esther what Mordecai said, and then she instructed him to say to Mordecai, all the king's officials and the people of the royal provinces know that if any man or woman approaches the king of the inner court without being summoned, the king has but one law, that they be put to death unless the king extends the gold scepter to them and spares their lives. The 30 days had passed since I was called to go to the king. When Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, she sent back this answer: do you not think that because you are in the king's house, you will learn of all the Jews will escape? For if you remain silent this time, relief and deliverance from the Jews will arise from another place, where you and your father's family will perish. Who knows that you will come to a real position for a time as this? And Esther sent this reply to Mordecai: go gather together all the Jews who and fast for me. Do it years drink with 3 days, night or day. I am intent will fast as you do, and this is done. I'll go to the king, even though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. Then Mordecai went away and carried out all of Esther's instructions. And on the third day, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the palace in front of the king's hall. The king was sitting on his brother in the hall, facing the edges, and he saw Queen Esther standing at the court. He was pleased then and held out to her the gold scepter that was in her hand. So Esther approached and touched the tip of the scepter. And the king asked, well is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom will be given. If it please the king, replied Esther, let the king together with Haman come together to a banquet I prepare for him. Bring Haman at once, the king said, so that we may do what Esther asked. So the king and Haman went to the banquet Esther had prepared. As they were drinking wine, the king again asked for Esther. Now, what is your petition? It will be given you, and what is your request? Even up to half the kingdom will be granted. Esther replied, my petition, my request is this: if the king regards me with favor, will it please the king to grant my petition, fulfill my request. Let the king and Haman come tomorrow to the banquet I will prepare for them. And answered the king's question, and Haman went out that day happy and in high spirits. When he saw Mordecai at the king's gate, and observed that he neither arose nor showed fear in his presence, he was filled with rage against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman restrained himself from one hand. Going to his best friend, his friends and Zeresh, his wife, Haman boasted them about his vast wealth, his many sons, and in all the ways the king honored him, and how he had elevated him above the other nobles and officials. And that's not all. I'm the only person who Esther invited to accompany the king to the banquet she gave. She has invited me along to the king tomorrow, but all this gives me no satisfaction as long as I see that Jew Mordecai sitting at the king's gate. His wife Zeresh and all his friends said to him, have a pole set up reaching to a height of 50 cubits, and asked the king in the morning to have Haman impaled on Mordecai impaled on it. Then go to the king to the banquet and enjoy yourself. This suggestion delighted him, and he had the pole set up. And now the king could not slay, so he ordered the book of the Chronicles, the record of history, and he brought it in right to him. So I recorded that Mordecai had exposed Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's officials, officers who guarded the doorway, who had conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. What honor and recognition Mordecai received for this, the king said, nothing has been done for him. His attendants answered. The king said, who was in the court? Now Haman had just entered the outer court of the palace to speak to the king about impaling Mordecai on the pole he had set up for him. His attendants answered, Haman standing in the court, bring him in, the king ordered. Then Haman entered. The king asked him, what should be done for the man the king delights to honor? Now Haman thought to himself, who is there the king would rather honor than me? He answered the king, for the man the king delights to honor, have them bring a royal robe the king has worn, and a horse the king has ridden, one with the royal crest placed on its head. Then let the robe and horse be entrusted to one of the king's most noble princes. Let the robe the man the king delights to honor, lead him on the horse to the city streets, proclaiming here, this is what is done for the man the king delights to honor. Go once the king commanded Haman, get the robe and the horse, and do as just you suggested for Mordecai the Jew, the king's gate. Do not neglect anything you recommend. So Haman got the robe and the horse. He rode Mordecai and led him on horseback through the city street, and claimed for him, this is what is done for the man the king delights to honor. Afterward, Mordecai returned to the king's gate. Haman rushed home with his head covered in grief, and told Zeresh's wife and all his friends everything that happened to him. His advised his wife Zeresh said to Mordecai, since Mordecai whom you downfall started a Jewish war, you cannot stand against him, he will surely come to power. Now they're still talking with the king's eunuchs arrived and hurried Haman away to the banquet Esther prepared. So the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet. As they drinking wine on the second day, the king again asked Queen Esther, what is your petition? It will be given you. What is your request? You up to half the kingdom, it will be granted. The Queen Esther answered, if I have found favour with you, my majesty, if it will please you grant me my life, this is my petition. Spare my people, this is my request. For my people have been sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated. If we merely be insulted, male or female slaves, I would have kept quiet. There is no such justified disturb the king. King Xerxes asked Queen Esther, who is there? What is he? Where is he? The man who was dead to do such a thing. Esther said, an adversary and enemy, this real Haman. And Haman was terrified before the king and queen. And the king got up in a rage, left his crown, and went into the palace guard. And Haman realized that the king already decided his fate, stayed behind to beg Queen Esther for his life. Just the king returned from the palace garden to the bank hall. Haman was falling on the couch with Esther to decline. The king answered, will he even molest the queen while she is with me in the house? As soon as the word left the king's mouth, he covered Haman's face and harped on one of the eunuchs and turned the king's stay. The pole reaching up to a height of 50 cubits standing by Haman's house. He had set up for Mordecai. He spoke to help the king. The king said, impale him on it. So they impaled Haman on the pole. He set up for Mordecai. The king's fury subsided. The same day, King Xerxes gave Queen Esther the estate of Haman, the enemy of the Jews. Then Mordecai came into the presence of the king, for Esther had told how he was related to her. The king took his signet ring, which he reclaimed from Haman, and presented it to Mordecai, and Esther appointed him over Haman's estate. Esther again pleaded with the king, falling to his feet and weeping. She begged him to put an end to evil and Haman and anger. Yet she devised against the Jews. The king extended the gold up to Esther, and she arose and stood before her. If he pleased the king, she said, if you would God do you a favor and thinks it the right thing to do, if he is pleased with me, let an order be written overruling the dispatches that Haman, son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, devised him right to destroy the Jews and all the king's promises. How can I bear to see disaster for my people? How can I bear to see the destruction of my family? King Xerxes replied Queen Esther and Mordecai the Jew. As Haman attacked the Jews, I have given his estate to Esther, and they impaled him on the pole. He said, and I write another decree in the king's name, and half the Jews seems bestie, seal the king's signet ring. For no document written in the king's name, seal of this ring can be verified. And one of the secretaries was summoned on the 23rd day of the month of Sivan. They read out all Mordecai's orders to the Jews and to his subjects, cover the nobles of the 127 provinces, stretching from India to Kash. These orders were written in the script of each province, the language of each people, and to Jews in the script and language. Mordecai read in the name of King Xerxes, those dispatches with the king's signet ring, and sent them a mounted couriers who rode fast horses, especially bred for the king. The king's edict granted the Jews in every city the right to assemble and protect themselves, to destroy, kill, and annihilate the armed men of any nationality province who might attack them, their women and children, to plunder the property of their enemies. Now day appointed for the Jews to do this in all the provinces of the king's Xerxes was the 13th day of the 12th month of Adar. A copy of the text of the edict was issued as law in every province and made known to the peoples of every nationality. Such the Jews will be ready on that day to avenge themselves on enemies. The couriers riding the royal horse went out, spurred on the king's command. The edict was issued in the citadel of Caesar. When Mordecai left the king's presence, he was wearing royal garments of blue and white, of a large crown of gold and purple robe of fine linen. Caesar held a joyous celebration. And for the Jews, there was time happiness and joy, gladness and honor. To every province and every city to which the edict of the king came, there was joy and gladness among the Jews. A feasting, celebrating, many people of other nationalities became Jews because fear of the Jews to Caesar. On the 13th day of the 12th month of the month Adar, the edict commanded by the king was to be carried out. On this day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them, and now the tables were turned, and the Jews got the upper hand over those who hated them. The Jews summoned their seats of the provinces of the King Xerxes to attack those seven to Israel. No one could stand against them, because the people ruled the other nationalities were afraid of them. Now the nobles of the provinces, satraps, the governors, and the king's administrators held the Jews, because of fear of Mordecai seized them. Mordecai was prominent in those palaces. His reputation spread throughout the provinces. He became more and more powerful. The Jews struck down all the enemies of the sword, killing and destroying them. They did what they pleased to those who hated them. In the sword was the Jews killed and destroyed 500 men. They used to kill Parshandatha, Dalphon, Aspatha, Poratha, Adalia, Aridatha, Parsmashta, Arisa, Arida, and Vaipsatha, the 10 sons of Haman, son of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews. They did not lay their hands on the plunder. None of those killed in the citadels, these were reported to the king that same day. The king said to the queen, the Jews have killed and destroyed 500 men, and the 10 sons of Haman, the citadels. What they done in the rest of the king's provinces, when our orders to petition, it will be given. Which request, it will be yours to be granted. If we please the king, Esther answered, give the Jews and Susa permission to carry out this day's edict tomorrow, and let Haman's 10 sons be impaled on poles. So the king commanded that this be done, and the edict was issued in Susa. Then they impaled the 10 sons of Haman, and the Jews and Susa came out together on the 14th day of the month Adar. And put to death in Susa 300 men. They did not lay their hands on the plunder. Meanwhile, the remainder of the Jews were in the king's provinces, also assembled to protect themselves and get relief from the enemies. And they killed 75,000 of them and did not lay their hands on the plunder. This happened on the 13th day of the month Adar. On the 14th they rested and made a day of feasting and joy. The Jews and Susa, however, had assembled on the 13th and 14th, and then on the 15th they rested and made a day of feasting and joy. That's why all Jews those living in the villages observed the 14th of the month of Adar as a day of joy and feasting, a day for giving presents to one another. The Mordecai recorded these events. He sent letters to all the Jews throughout the provinces of King Xerxes near and far. Let them celebrate annually the 14th of 15 days of the month Adar as the time when Jews got relief from their enemies, and the month when sorrow was turning to join their money into a day of celebration. He made them to observe the days as days of feasting and joy, and giving presents of food to one another and gifts to the poor. The Jews agreed to continue the celebrations of the year. They began doing what Mordecai had predicted. Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, plotted against the Jews to destroy them and cast the pearl for their ruin and destruction. When the plot came to the king's attention, he issued written orders that the evil shame Haman and divided against Jews should come back with his own head. Now he and his son should be impaled on poles. Because of everything written in this letter, because of what they had seen and what happened to the Jews took on themselves to step into fast, that they and their descendants and all who joined them should fail. without fail should observe these 2 days every year. In the way prescribed at the time appointed, these days should be remembered and observed in every generation by every family, every province, and every city. And the days of Purim should never fail to be celebrated by the Jews, nor should the memory of these days die among their descendants. So Queen Esther, daughter of Abraham, along with Mordecai the Jew, were full authority to confirm the second letter concerning Purim. And Mordecai sent letters to all the Jews in the 127 provinces of Xerxes' kingdom, with goodwill and assurance to establish these days of Purim at their designated times. As Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther decreed for that, and they established themselves in the sense in regard to the times of fasting and lamentation. As such decree was confirmed, these regulations about Purim is written down in the records. King Xerxes imposed tribute throughout the empire to its distant shores, and all its acts of power might together a full account of the greatness of Mordecai. Then the king promoted, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Media and Persia? Mordecai the Jew was second in rank to King Xerxes, preeminent among the Jews, and held in high esteem by his many fellow Jews. These who worked for the good of his people, spoke up for the welfare of all the Jews. Proverbs 2. My son, if you set my words and store my commands with the eternal ear to wisdom and applying your heart to understand, indeed, if you call offense and cry laugh, understand. If you look for us to sow in such a way as to pay treasure, then understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom for his mouth and knowledge to understand. He holds success in store for the upright. He is shield to those who walk his plans. He guards the course of the just and protects the way of the faithful ones. You will understand what is right and just and fair, every good path. For wisdom will guide into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will check and understand will guide you. Wisdom save from the ways of you wicked man, from a man who words are perverse. He left the straight path to walk in dark ways, to delight in doing wrong, and mature in the perverseness of evil. His paths are crooked and devious in their ways. Wisdom save from the adults. The way woman with seductive words, who was thus the partner of the youth and ignored the covenant she made before God. So her house leads down to death, the path to the spirits of the dead. None go to her return or attain the path of life. Thus you'll walk in the ways of good and keep to the path of righteousness. For the upright will live in the land, the blameless will remain. Those who will be cut off from the land, the unfaithful will be torn from it. Psalm 130. Now the depths I cry to you, Lord, O Lord, hear my voice. Let ears be attentive if you cry to my mercy. If you, Lord, keep a record of sins, Lord, how could I say? Who can stand? But with you, there's forgiveness, so we can with reverence. I wait for the Lord, my whole being wasting word. I put my heart. I wait for the Lord, more than watch and wait for the morning, more than watch and wait for the morning. There's open your hope in the Lord, who the Lord is unfailing, Lord. And with him is full redemption. He himself will redeem Israel from all sins.